She's calling me.
Alright, welcome back to the farm. Today we're going to do a little work on the dishwasher. So we're having some issues with it. It runs, but it does not completely clean. Occasionally it will clean, but for the most part, sometimes the top rack cleans, sometimes the bottom rack cleans. There's a couple of things we're going to try. I'm going to start with what the internet says was the most likely cause, which is the inlet valve. The other thing that could be causing it, because I noticed that there is water in there, but it could be the diverter valve is not rotating when it's supposed to, which would explain why sometimes the top is clean and sometimes the bottom is. We're going to replace both the inlet valve and the diverter valve, and we're going to see if that fixes it. So let's get to fixing. Alright, so this is the fill valve. It's on the bottom of the dishwasher, and water comes in here, goes out here, and it's switched with this power source right here. So we've got a new one. I'm going to put that in to start with, and then next will be the diverter valve, which is right here. So what this is, well, I got the new one here. So this is the diverter valve motor, and this is the valve itself, and this sits on top of here. And what this does is, as the machine runs, as the dishwasher runs, this will spin this plate here. It'll direct the water from the lower arm, and then rotates to another position to put it at the top arm, rotates to another position for over the top, and I think there's three or four positions for this thing. So as it rotates, it'll change where the water is going to flow to, which rack it's going to clean. So this is why I think that maybe this motor is going bad, because sometimes the bottom rack will be clean but not the top rack, and other times the top rack will be clean but not the bottom rack. So we're going to replace the fill valve, because that's apparently the most common failure on these. And we're going to replace this diverter valve to see if that does anything. Alright, we're going to start with the fill valve. A little bit of water left in that one. Little tab for the connector, you push up on it to get it out. Now what holds it in is, this out of the way, one screw right here that holds it in place. Now here's the new one. You'll notice this connector is not on this one, but they included one in the package. So this one has a safety upgrade. So this one, you can just push this tab to release the cord, the plug. This one, you notice there's this extra piece here. So this, you can actually slide this down back behind the connector, so you cannot accidentally release that. And push this one on. It was not securely in place before. We're going to start with threading this just to give it a start. That way it's easier when you're installing it. this back on. And then I'm going to reattach the inlet line. It's important with this inlet line that you make sure that this is actually two pieces. So the outside spins when the inside does not. And it can get offset so it doesn't seal. So make sure when you put it together that this is centered inside of here. And then you can see there's a seal inside of there. Just make sure it's good and snug. Okay, next we're going to do our diverter valve. Now for this diverter valve, we're actually going to start inside of here. Rotate this a quarter turn, it pops off. And if you rotate your filter head here, that pops out. You really should be cleaning this on a regular basis. So you should know how to do it anyway. And then here's your strainer. You take out this one, it's held in place by a little tab down here. Push that tab out of the way, rotate it up, and it slides out. And then there's two tabs that hold this one in place. And that pops out. You have to rotate it to get it out. So, okay, these tabs here would hold that other pipe in place. And this sits in here. So this tab lifts up so you can rotate this whole piece out and then pop it up. And then you have your diverter valve. Okay, so there's two connectors. Up here's two Torx screws. Okay, you will need a T15 driver, and I'm just going to use it on the end of my screw gun here. Okay, and the old one is out. They did include a little packet of grease here to lube up the seal, so then the new diverter valve motor doesn't tear the seal up. Alright, then we're just going to slide it right in place. Time to put the screws back in. Don't over torque them or you will strip it out. It is just plastic. Alright, now when you go to put it back together, before you even take it apart, note which color wire goes where. For mine, the blue is going on top here and the red is going down below it. It looks like there's tabs to help prevent you from putting it in the wrong spot, but just remember which one goes where and you won't have to worry about that. Put the wires back in. Oops. We forgot to plug our, I forgot to plug our fill valve back in. Alright, that goes back in and put the safety in place, and now we gotta roll the dishwasher back over so we can put the actual valve back in place. This will actually be easier with the dishwasher mounted back into its location. So just keep that in mind. If you are doing the diverter valve, take all that other stuff inside the dishwasher apart while it's still in place, because it doesn't want to stand up too well when it's not mounted. That door just wants to knock it over. So as you can see, there's positions that this thing will be in, depending on where you want it to flow. There's a dead zone there. So there's 3 spots. You see these 3 holes. This is for the lower arm. This, I believe, is for the upper arm. And this, I think, is for the one way at the top of the dishwasher that sprays over the top of the top rack. So what happens is this will spin in here and decide where to spray the water. Well, that's the dead zone. So you can spray to the different zones. So if this gets stuck and only sprays to one area, it's not going to clean the rest of the areas. So that's why we replaced this diverter valve. Alright, so this fits in, and like this, and you rotate it in like that. It's a little tricky, but you'll get the hang of it. And then here's for the top sprayer, I think. And that goes in like that. And rotates down into place. And then make things easier, we're going to put the strainer in, and then the filter basket. And then we're going to put our lower spray arm on. So that's everything for how to do that. Those 2 items. I'm going to hook it all back up, and we'll try to run it tonight and see if it works. Well, that didn't work. So when I ran it before, I could hear the pump running. So I thought the pump was good. Well, right after we get all those new parts in, I go to run it, and the pump doesn't always run. Sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. So I want to test and see if the pump itself is bad, or if there's something in the board, like a relay or a circuit or something, that's not telling the pump to turn on. So what I'm going to do, there's a quick and simple way to test when the pump isn't running. It's supposed to be. Give it a tap and see if it starts up. Sometimes, some bearings or bushings don't quite line up correctly, and then the pump won't run. So we'll give it a tap and see if that starts it up. If that does not, then we will get the voltmeter out and test to see if there's voltage at the plug for the pump. So let's see what we can find out. Well, no luck there. I don't know if you can see this. 120 volts, so it is giving voltage to the pump. So that means the pump is bad. So let's replace it. I already have a new pump here, and just for fun, let's quick plug this in and see if this one spins. Might give me a little bit of torque. So, yep, this one works. All right, we're going to start by removing our diverter valve, just so it's easier to get at our clamp down in here. And that is a T15 Torx bit. Set that off to the side. All right, next we have to remove our clamp here. I found these can be kind of tricky at times to remove. This is actually just a PEX pipe clamp. So you just kind of got to work at it. I usually don't try to just cut it because they are kind of tough. But you just work it loose and you should be able to remove the tube. And after you get your wire disconnected and unhooked from up here, there really isn't anything holding this in place except some friction. So this came out, that came out, and that came out. That just goes back in there. And that's it. That's all you got to do to remove it. So this is held in by friction in here. This is held in with a clamp by friction on here. So now we got the old one out. Let's put the new one in. I forgot to spin this around so it's accessible. There we go. So it's seated all the way down into here. It's seated all the way down back up in there. Now what we got to do is crimp that in place. And to do that, you need a PEX crimping tool. There's a couple different styles of PEX crimps. There's the copper ring, which literally is, it looks like a ring and just you squish it around. This is the band style. So what this does is it has a little jaw in there, and this pinches it close and opens back up when you're done. So that's what this is. This is literally just a PEX crimp ring. Other things you can try to do, I haven't really tried, but you might be able to use the side cutters to reach in there and crimp it. It might not look as good. If you absolutely do not have or cannot get one of these tools, you could probably replace this with the standard screw type hose clamp. It might not be quite as secure, but it should get the job done. So we're just going to go in and crimp it in place. And that is tight on there. That's in place. All that is are on the wires back here, and plug the new one in. So this one that I got, it's W10510667. That is not the number that was given to me by Whirlpool. However, I discovered that, through some research, this one does fit in place. It is basically identical. I'm not sure why they have two different numbers, but it is identical. So, I think the one I had was like 103 started with. So I'll link all that stuff in the information below, along with the one that I purchased to replace it, as well as the other items that I purchased to help repair the dishwasher. So now we got to put our diverter valve back in. That goes back up into there. Just like that. And don't forget to set your clutch weight down if you're using an electric drill for this, because you do not want to strip these out. Very easy to do with an electric drill in plastic. Alright, let's set it back up and see if this helped. And you can hear the pump is running and spraying water, so the dishwasher is fixed. Alright, we got the dishwasher fixed. So, we replaced the fill valve, which is a common failure on these, but it happened to not be the cause of my issues. We replaced the diverter valve motor, which it seemed like it could have been that, but that was not the cause of it. And we replaced the pump, which was the cause of it. So now you know If you have a dishwasher that only cleans sometimes it cleans and sometimes it doesn't, it's likely the motor. So get your voltmeter out, test the leads, see if there's power going to the motor, and if there is and the motor is not spinning, well, now you know the cause. And it's real simple to replace yourself. So thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on farming.